once again.
पिताहमस्य जगतो
पिताहमस्य जगतो
माता धाता पितामहः
माता धाता पितामहः
वेद्यं पवित्रम् ओंकार
वेद्यं पवित्र ओंकार
ऋक्समा यजुरेव च
ऋक्सामा यजुरेव च पिताहमस्य जगतो
पिताहमस्य जगतो
माता धाता पितामहः
माता धाता पितामहः
वेद्यं पवित्रम् ओंकार
वेद्यं पवित्रम् ओंकार
ऋक्साम यजुरेव च
ऋक्सामा यजुरेव च
पिताहम् अस्य जगतो माता धाता पितामहः वेद्यं पवित्रम् ओंकार ऋक्सामा यजुरेव च पिताहमस्य जगतो माता धाता पितामहः वेद्यं पवित्रम् ओंकार ऋक्सामा यजुरेव च
Anybody online? Synonyms: Pita,
पिता
father.
father
Aham,
aham
I.
I
Asya,
asya
of this.
of this
Jagataha,
jagatah
of the universe.
of the universe
Mata,
mata
mother.
mother
Dhata,
dhata
supporter.
supporter
Pitamaha,
pitamahah
grandfather.
grandfather
Vedyam,
vedyam
what is to be known.
what is to be known
Pavitram,
pavitram
that which purifies.
that which purifies
Omkaraha,
omkaraha
the syllable Om.
the syllable om
Rik,
rik
the Rig Veda.
the rig veda
Sama,
sama
the Sama Veda.
the samaveda
Yajuhu,
yajuhu
the Yajur Veda.
the yajurveda
Eva,
eva
certainly.
certainly
Cha,
cha
and.
and
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Translation: I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rik, the Sama, and the Yajur Vedas. Translation with repetition: I am the father of this universe,
I am the father of this universe,
the mother, the support,
the mother, the support,
and the grandsire.
and the grandsire.
I am the object of knowledge,
I am the object of knowledge,
the purifier,
the purifier,
and the syllable Om.
and the syllable Om.
I am also the Rik,
I am also the Rik,
the Sama,
the Sama,
and the Yajur Vedas.
and the Yajurvedas.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
The entire cosmic manifestations, moving and non-moving, are manifested by different activities of Krishna's energy. In the material existence, we create different relationships with different living entities who are nothing but Krishna's marginal energy. But under the creation of Prakriti, some of them appear as our father, mother, grandfather, creator, etc. But actually they are parts and parcels of Krishna. As such, these living entities who appear to be our father, mother, etc. are nothing but Krishna. In this verse, the word Dhata means creator. Not only our father and mother, parts and parcels of Krishna, but their creator, grandmother and grandfather, etc. are also Krishna. Actually, any living entity being part and parcel of Krishna is Krishna. All the Vedas therefore aim only towards Krishna. Whatever we want to know through the Vedas is but a progressive step towards understanding Krishna. The subject matter which helps us purify our constitutional position is especially Krishna. Similarly, the living entity who is inquisitive to understand all Vedic principles is also part and parcel of Krishna, and as such is also Krishna. In all the Vedic mantras, the word Om, called Pranava, is a transcendental sound vibration and is also Krishna. And because in all the hymns of the four Vedas, Sama, Yajur, Rik and Atharva, the Pranava or Omkara is very prominent, it is understood to be Krishna. Thus ends the wonderful transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport.
ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण।
So we are in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is entitled as the most confidential knowledge. And we are discussing this wonderful verse, the 17th verse. And these verses of Krishna, those verses which are spoken by Krishna are so sweet, so nectarian. And you can see the beautiful purport which Prabhupada has given to help us understand how this is so relevant and so meaningful in our life. The life which we live, where we have our own priorities, we want to take care of our own health, our career, our children, our parents who are dependent on us. And our other interests or hobbies and pursuits, and that's how the life slips away from our hand. But then a fortunate soul, by some dint of good fortune, by the will of providence, if he gets in touch with this Vedic knowledge, then his eyes get opened. When the eyes get opened, he sees that there is another world which is there, which I am not fully aware of, which I am not fully cognizant of, which I am completely ignorant or oblivious of. Then verses like this reaffirm what is our position, who is Krishna, what is our position in this material world, and what should we do. Today there was a book distribution event in Marlborough High School where we had a stall. Is that Hindu Heritage Day?
Vishwa Hindu Parishad.
No, but what was the event? They were saying it as a Hindu Heritage Day.
Yes.
So Hindu Heritage Day is being celebrated. But you see, then the weather becomes, there is a forecast that, it's going to shower, it's going to have rain and all. Crowd automatically reduces. Even though there are organizers who have put their best efforts, and it is meant probably, if somebody who's not aware, that's a different thing, but somebody who's aware, he might be expected to be present there, because it's a Hindu Heritage Day and the Hindus are meant to celebrate. But then if rain happens, then we think our priorities are different. We don't want to get out of the house. We want to take some vada sambar or something and then just enjoy life or watch some TV. Interestingly, in the Vedic scriptures, there is a verse which comes, Tad dinam durdinam manye megha channam na durdinam. Tad dinam durdinam manye megha channam na durdinam yad dinam Krishna samplava katha piyusa varjita. We may consider this day to be a bad day because it's been raining the whole day. I'm not able to get out of my house, I'm not able to do things freely. But the connoisseur of Vedic literature, the people who relish Vedic knowledge, they don't consider this to be a bad day. Tad dinam durdinam manye megha channam na durdinam. Not that day which is cloudy, which is raining or which is snowing. No, that is not a bad day for us. Which is a bad day? Yad dinam Krishna samplapa katha piyusa varjita. that day when I don't get an opportunity to hear this nectar of Krishna Katha, Yad Dinam Krishna Piyusa Katha, Krishna Samplapa Katha Piyusa Garjita. If I don't get an opportunity to hear Krishna Katha, that is a very bad day for me. Sometimes people wonder why this kind of statements are made in the Vedic literature. If you see in the purport, Prabhupada is writing that subject matter which helps us purify our constitutional position is especially Krishna. Actually, what is happening is the priorities that we have decided for ourselves, the life that we are leading based on the understanding that we have about what life should be, is an impure, imperfect understanding of what actual life should be. We all get a glimpse of that when we go through some difficulties, miseries, material energy comes and slaps us, we get some beaten up, then we get that understanding. But then again, very soon we forget it, because the spin of the material time is such that it makes us forget our constitutional position. Again we start identifying, oh my son, how nice you are, my daughter, my husband, my wife, let us all stay together. And in the process we forget what is the real constitutional position, what we are supposed to do. That is why we are called Tatastha Sakti, or the marginal energy. There is an external energy of the Lord which is creating this curtain where somebody is forgetful of his constitutional position, and he's been constantly being beaten up, but he's firmly fixed in this conviction, I am the enjoyer. My life is meant to enjoy in this material world, and the definition of enjoyment is as I have defined, as I have fed my mind and senses. That is the influence of the external energy of the Lord. There is an internal energy of the Lord where somebody who comes under the shelter of that, they actually genuinely experience bliss. You can see, we meet so many people, hardly you find people who are happy, who are smiling, from the heart. You hardly find. They come with so much of burden, so much of distress, so much of this thing, because they are under the influence of the external energy of the Lord. Sometimes when the Maya slaps them very hard, then they feel distressed, they feel artha, they feel distressed when they come to the temple. They want to take up to this process of chanting, they do some devotional service, but again, because it is marginal energy, they come sometimes under the influence of internal energy, again they get carried away, they forget everything. What is temple, what is Bhagavad Gita, what is chanting? Chanting also becomes difficult. What is it? Why should I do? This is what is our constitutional position. But when we hear verses like this, which is coming in the 9th chapter, the most confidential knowledge, it gives us a lot of hope. It gives us a lot of solace. It gives us a lot of inspiration as to why we should take up to this process of devotion. Let's deep dive and understand what this verse is. Very interesting verse. Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha Vedyam pavitram omkara riksama yajurevacha. Bhagavad Gita is not just like that. Is told that it is Gitopanishad. Sarvopanishado gabho dugdha gopalanandana. If all the entire Vedic literatures, all the Upanishads, if they are compared to a cow, Sarvo Upanishado gabho dugdha gopalanandana. Actually, the entire Vedic literature, if the entire Upanishads are compared to cow, milk is considered to be Gita. It is the essence of all the Vedic literatures is given in this 45 minutes wonderful conversation that the Supreme Lord had with Arjuna, dispels all doubts. So here Krishna is telling about himself. Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha Vedyam pavitram omkara riksama yajurevacha. Our Acharya Srila Prabhupada says that none of the words used in Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam are just meant to fill some things, because it was not rhyming, so he has put something so that it rhymes. These are very carefully chosen, selected words by Krishna, and he is explaining about himself. He is talking who he really is in these verses. So if you break down this verse, Krishna is telling Aham. If you see here where my cursor is, Aham asya jagataha. The first line has these three words, Aham asya jagataha. Aham asya jagataha. So first line has got Aham asya jagataha. and then he is telling something else. We will see this, but what he is saying in the first line, Aham asya jagatah pita, mata, dhata, pitamaha. There are four things which is used. Pita, mata, dhata, and pitamaha. Aham asya jagatah pita, mata, dhata, pitamaha. Again, ahameva, vedyam. So vedyam, pavitram, omkara, riksama, yajurevacha. So this eva and vedyam. Vedyam, pavitram, omkara, riksama, yajurevacha. So this aham is used in both the lines. Aham asya jagatah, ahameva. So what else he is? There are four more things he is talking. Vedyam, pavitram, omkara, riksama, yajurevacha. So he is pita, he is mata, he is dhata, he is pitamaha, and he is vedyam, he is pavitram, he is omkara, he is riksama, yajurevacha. We will see each of this the time that we have. And very beautiful explanation by Prabhupada. Wonderful explanation actually. Such nice explanation. It's just amazing. Now in our life, you have your grandfather by any chance? Is he alive? No. Okay, anybody's grandfather is there? So, in our life we have our father, we have our mother, we have our grandfather and grandmother. Sometimes paternal grandfather, grandmother, and maternal grandfather, grandmother. Right? What do you call maternal grandfather? Nana. And the father said? Dada. Okay. Nana, Nani also is there, Dada, Dadi is there. Right? The love and the affection, the relationship that we have with our father and with our mother is different. The love that we experience from father is different compared to that of the mother. Mother's love is very different from father. There is a difference. And even grandfather and grandmother's love, that is also different. That is why we have a father, we have a mother, we have a grandfather and a grandmother. But Krishna is telling, Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitama. Very interestingly, he is telling, I am not just father, I am also the mother. I am also the pitamaha. And Prabhupada explains why he is telling that. Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha vedyam pavitram omkara riksama yajureva. Let's understand what is this meaning of the word pita. Aham asya jagatah pita, the first one. Prabhupada is writing the entire cosmic manifestations, moving and non-moving, are manifested by different activities of Krishna's energy. In the material existence, they create different relationships with different living entities who are nothing but Krishna's marginal energy. Very interestingly, you would have heard this term in the movies at least. Yeah. Mata Pita nahi. Who is the real father? Sometimes the hero comes. Riste mein to hum tumhare. Okay. People want to take proprietorship or claim that I am your father. Okay, don't teach me what you want to say. I know it. But who is the real father? Aham asya jagatah pita. Krishna is telling, I am actually the father of the entire jagat, the entire material world. Why is he saying? Is it some exaggeration? We know our real father, and we know how our real father is so much caring. He takes care of us so nicely, starting from the day when we were born, to ensure that we go to the right school, get right education, even to the extent, when we, for some of us who get married, to ensure that we get the right candidate, and then ensure that our life is set. Father is always there. So how can Krishna say Aham asya jagatah pita? Let us see from some Vedic analysis how Krishna can be our father. There is a verse which comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto. This is spoken by this is in connection with Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj. Very nice verse. It says, Patishchutam tishtati dishta rakshitam grihe sthitam tad vihatam vinasyati jivati anathopi tad ikshito vane grihe abhigupto asya hato na jivati. There are two examples which are given here. Pathi chutam tishtati dishta rakshitam. Pathi is a traveler. And a traveler Chutam. Sometimes, when you are traveling in a busy street, it may so happen that, your wallet is lost. Have you lost your wallet? You're always busy on phone at the time when you're not supposed to. Pati chutam tishtati dishta rakshita. Have you lost your wallet? Sometimes. Where?
It's while traveling by bus.
By bus. So here in this verse it is mentioned, Pati chutam tishtati dishta rakshita. Sometimes you may have lost your wallet on a busy street and you would have gone. But if dishta rakshita, if it is destined in your, if it is there in your destiny, it will lie in the same place, even if there are a lot of people who are walking by. Pati chutam tishtati dishta rakshitam grihasthitam tad vihatam vinashyati. Whereas some money you might have kept it in a hidden way in your house, but somebody can come and steal it. Pati chutam tishtati dishta rakshitam grihasthitam tad vihatam vinashyati. Jivati anathopi tad ikshito bane. You might be, sometimes you might have forgotten the path in a very precarious place, in a very scary place like a forest. But still you will survive. Jivati anathopi tad ikshito bane. Even if you are there in the forest, you will be protected. Tad ikshito, because the Lord is protecting you. You will be protected. Grihe abhigupta, but sometimes you might be hiding. Gupta is to keep yourself secret. Abhigupta, completely you are trying to hide yourself. Where? In your house you are locking yourself. Grihe abhigupto asya hatona jivati. But if the Lord is not protecting you, you are going to die. This is what is the verse saying. Very interesting verse. Sometimes one loses his money on a public street, whereas everyone can see it, and yet his money is protected by destiny and not seen by others. Thus the man who lost it gets it back. On the other hand, if the Lord does not give protection, even money maintained very securely at home is lost. If the Supreme Lord gives one protection, even though one has no protector and is in the jungle, one remains alive. Whereas a person well protected at home by relatives and others sometimes dies. No one will be able to protect him. So what it says is that even though our Father, our protector, our relatives, our well-wishers, they may be there always with us. But there is something which is more powerful than this so-called our protector or our relatives or our friends or our well-wishers. Because that power is so much, that divine power protects us even in times where we are not anticipating them. Like that's what it is saying. Pati chutam tishtati dishta rakshitam grihasthitam tad vihatam vinashyati. Jivati anatho pita dikshito vane grihe bhigupto asya hato na jivati. There is another verse which Prahlad Maharaj says. This is your favorite verse. Chant that verse.
Balasane hasharanam puttaro nisana dhartasya chadam udhanvati muchitanaho tattasya tat pratavi dhya chestas tavad vibhutanugritam tava upekshitana.
When Bhadrayan Prabhu wanted to join the temple and his parents were opposing, he had to run away from that temple and he had to write one exam. Before writing that exam, he was very fearful whether he was going to pass or not. And he used to chant this mantra very regularly. Balasya neha saranam pitaro nrsimha nartasya chagadam mudanvati majjato nau taptasya tat pratibidhirya ihanjasestas tavad vibhotan vratam tvat upekshitanam. There are three examples which is given here. Balasya neha saranam pitaro nrsimha. We consider that our father or our mother or our parents are going to take care of all our needs. Whatever problems are there, they will take care. But it is possible that the parents may always be there, but a child can have some disease which is not curable. Like we see so many people who are having this ADHD or some kind of, what is that problem? Autistic. Or some things like that. The child has to go through a lot of sufferings. Parents are there, or somebody is born with a disease which is from the birth. Somebody is born without a kidney, somebody is born without something, no hearing, no eyes. The parents are there, but they can't give that protection. Balasya na iha saranam pitaro. They can't give complete shelter, complete protection, even if the parents want. Balasya neha saranam pitaro nrsimha nartasya chagadam. Agadam means in Sanskrit medicine. Artasya means somebody who is suffering a lot of pain, lot of miseries. What is the hope we have? You think I'll go and find out the right doctor, and if the doctor does the proper diagnosis, then and he gives the proper medicine, my pain will be relieved. There are so many people who suffer. Maybe the diagnosis is proper, they're giving the medicine, yet it doesn't cure the disease. Or maybe the diagnosis is not proper, even though the doctor is considered to be very qualified, from a very big reputed hospital, is not able to give the right medicine. Balasya neha saranam pitaro nrsimha nartasya chagadam mudanvati majjato now. This is the second example. First one is a child, even though he considers very safe in the presence of his parents, they cannot protect him from unlimited dangers. There are so many dangers which can attack. Nartasya chagadam udanvati majjato now. Nartasya. Artha is the word which is used in the four kinds of people who surrendered to Krishna. What is the verse?
Chaturvida bhajante jana sukritina
Arjuna. Artho artharthir jnanicha bhardarsha. Artho artharthir jigyasu jnanircha bhardarsha. So Artho is one class of people who are always distressed because of their physical problems or mental problems, and they go to a doctor thinking that the medicine will help, but the medicine doesn't work. Nartasya chagadam udanvati majjato now. There is a person who is drowning. Udanvati majjato. He is drowning in an ocean and he is seeing there is a boat. But can a boat protect a man who is drowning in an ocean? Cannot. Balasya neha saranam pitaro nrsimha nartasya chagadam udanvati majjato now. Taptasya tat pratibidhir yahanjasestas Bhagavad Vibhutam Vritam Tvad Upekshitana. What Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Tvad Upekshitana. If the Lord is not putting his glance, if the Lord is not favorable, Upekshitana. Upekshita means to neglect someone. If the Lord is neglecting someone, if the Lord is not seeing someone with a favorable this thing, no matter who he is, he will drown. He will fall victim to this material energy. My Lord Nrsimhadev, O Supreme, because of a bodily conception of life, embodied souls neglected and not cared for by you cannot do anything for their betterment. Whatever remedies they accept, although perhaps temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. For example, a father and mother cannot protect their child. A physician and medicine cannot relieve a suffering patient, and a boat on the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. Because of the bodily conception of life, embodied souls who are neglected cannot do anything for their betterment. Tavad vibho tanumritam tvadupekshitanam. If the Lord is neglecting, if we are not utilizing this valuable human form of life, the biggest gift that we have been given, then we will be lost in all these things, whatever is mentioned in this verse. Very interestingly, there is one story which Prabhupada talks about why the Lord appears in this material world. So the story, I think you would have all heard about the story of Akbar and Birbal. Akbar was always teasing Birbal that why is it that Akbar was a very broad-minded king, a Mughal emperor, Muslim king, and had a minister who was a Hindu, who was a wise minister. So they always used to have this conversation about philosophy. And Akbar used to say, what kind of God you have? He keeps coming down from heaven now, every now and then, to as if he doesn't have any work or he doesn't have people who can carry out his order. You say that he comes down in this form and that form. What is it? Why is it so much? Why is it so happening so many times? Birbal, in his usual, if you have heard this Akbar Birbal stories, in his usual sarcastic manner, will say, I will explain it, Jahanana. The right time comes, I will explain it. So then what happened one day in the palace, they have this wonderful, nice boat festival. So there is a boat festival which is going on, and they make a boat and it will be going in a water body, all people are enjoying, and all of a sudden what happened? Akbar's son got drowned in that water body. So when that happened, Akbar immediately jumped into that water body. And at that time Birbal came and stood there, and Akbar protected his son. And then Birbal says, Jahanamana, did you look at, there are so many soldiers who are so capable, they were standing here. Why did you jump yourself? What was the need for you to jump? There were so many soldiers who could have protected. There was a minister like me who's your trustworthy minister. I could have protected. Why did you jump yourself? So Akbar says that, this is my son. I know they may have protected, but this is my own son. I have to do something, otherwise he will get drowned. So there Birbal says that is how the Lord always descends in this material world, time and again, to protect his devotees. Paripranaya sadhana vinasaya chatuskrita dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Lord descends, very mercifully he comes. In Bhagavad Gita, in a few more verses, actually Krishna says, I am equal to everyone. It's not like, I am got impartiality or something. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyasti na priyaha. Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mai te teshu chapyaham. Though I am equal to everyone, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyasti na priyaha. Nobody, I am not envious of anyone, nobody is dear to me. But if somebody is worshipping me, somebody is doing bhakti to me, ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapyam. This is what Krishna says. And this is how we can get that pad upekshitana. If we don't want to be neglected by the Lord, we should engage in devotional service. Now moving on, Krishna also says that he is the Mata. Aham asya jagataha Mata. How Pita and Mata, what is the difference in that? And it is good to have, many religions talk about the Lord being the Supreme Father and having our relationship with Him. But how Mata is related? How is it that, Mata makes it anything special? Why Krishna is talking about that? Prabhupada briefly mentions this in this purport. If you see that carefully, few sentences Prabhupada talks about. But very interestingly, if you see, the position of mother in our life is very unique. Why? How? What is the uniqueness of mother's position? She's the one who can give birth. What does it mean to take birth from the mother's womb?
We are part of her.
We are
Part of her.
part of her. Very nicely, you got it actually, just touched the right nerve. We are part of her. Actually, it's such an important thing. If you see the creation that happens in this material world, like we built this temple. How did we build this temple? We brought some materials. We had some stones or some some cement and things like that, some bricks and all, and we could build this temple. The temple, the shape was not there, now it is manifested. But does mother bring some things from outside? Get some cement, get some this thing, and then build a child? No, as you rightly said, we are part of her. Her blood veins start running in the child. Her flesh becomes the flesh of the child. So it is, and even her breathing, her this thing, everything is connected with that umbilical cord. Till the time the baby is born and that umbilical cord is cut, the baby is completely dependent on the mother. So the relationship of the child with the mother is very, very intimate, very intimate. So Krishna is not telling just I am father, I am also your mother. Mother means I am very thickly involved. You are my part, we are his part actually. But we consider that our father and mother, they are only everything. You go and we are taught these things from school that you should consider your parents to be like gods, right? There is a
Matrudevo Bhava.
Matrudevo Bhava, Pitrudevo Bhava. There's another one, I'm not able to get that. But anyway, we have heard that. But here the Lord is far far more than just a normal mother who's coming, and Krishna is telling this mother is also by the divine arrangement, it's an energy of the Lord who's coming, and he is there for some time and he goes. But his mother, who's his mother, his father, all are Krishna's energy. Ultimately, everything is coming out of Krishna. And very nicely in this verse it is mentioned that material nature, like in the case of mother who's producing the child from her bodily parts, this material nature also produces these bodies for us. Mother nature, the external nature, based on our desire to enjoy in a particular manner, suitably that kind of a body gets transformed from these 5 gross elements, and we continue our existence in this material world based on the. There's a beautiful verse in 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Purusa prakriti sthohi bhunte prakritir jan guna karana guna sangasya sadasad yoni janmasu. Purusa prakriti sthohi. When the living entity wants to be in this external energy, Purusa prakriti sthohi bhunte prakritir jan guna, and he wants to enjoy this. So first of all, we want to make ourselves fixed. We have situated ourselves in this material energy. Purusa prakriti sthohi bhunte prakritir jan guna, and bhunte is to enjoy. We want to enjoy this material nature. Karana guna sangasya, the way we want to enjoy based on the association, sadasat yoni janmasu. Mother nature is giving that kind of a body. Somebody wants to become an animal, somebody wants to become a monkey, somebody wants to become a snake, somebody wants to become some. Mother nature is creating suitable body for that. Ahamasya jagatah mata. This is in one way the material nature, which is an energy of the Lord, which is producing these bodies. In another way, Krishna is very intimately connected with us, like the mother. Then he goes to another further this thing where he says Ahamasya jagatah dhata. What is the meaning of the word dhata? Maintainer or sustainer. Any example of Bhagavad Gita where the sustainer is there? Which one? Which one? Bhishma. Bhishma, what is the dhata?
He got a little Surya clan.
Surya clan, sorry, can you explain? Can you
Based on shallow knowledge, because he got the old Surya king's land, Rudraksha's family. He was in charge of it.
He became in charge
to protect the king and the kingdom.
Okay. So that is how you are saying maintainer or sustainer, is it? Protector kind of. Okay. Here, Ahamasya jagatah dhata, the word dhata is something which is sustaining. Sustaining means, like let's say there is a plant. Now the plant, when it is connected to the soil, the roots, when it is connected, whatever the nutrients are required for sustenance is coming from that. Somehow the plant is getting sustained or nourished because the roots are there within the soil. Right? So for our existence, for example, for our sustenance, we need oxygen. We need something which is sustaining our body, sustaining our life. So where is it mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, any example of dhata? Something which is holding, or something which is...
There is a 15th chapter. I think.
15th chapter is there. Anything in 7th chapter? This example? What is the verse?
Matta partaram nanyat kinchit.
Matta partaram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai protam idam sarvam sutre maniganaya. Krishna gives this beautiful example. Actually, we think this life completely disjoint. We think there is no supreme power, there is nothing, and it is all happening by chance. I have got this life which I am supposed to live. I am not connected with anyone. But here is an example which Krishna is giving. Mattah parataram na anyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. There is nothing superior to me. There is no truth which is superior to me. Mattah parataram na anyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. Mai protam idam sarva sutram maniganaiva. Like the invisible thread which is holding these beautiful pearls, which are so, the beauty of that is appreciated by so many people. Nobody sees that invisible thread. Like that, I am that invisible thread which is sustaining this material world, is sustaining this material creation. Mai protam idam sarvam sutre maniganaya. So ahamasya jagatah dhata. In 15th chapter also there is a verse which comes. Gamavisya cha bhutani dharayami aham ojasa. Ushnami chausadhi sarvaha soma bhutva rasatmakah. Gamavisya cha bhutani dharayami. Dharayami is same dhata. Dharayami aham ojasa. What does this mean? Gamavisya cha bhutani. So Krishna is telling, I actually enter into every planet. Gam avishya. I enter into every, Gam is planets. I enter into avishya. I enter into the planets. Cha bhutani. And because of my entering into this planet, I am able to sustain. Gam avishya cha bhutani. Dharayami aham ojasa. My potency, because of my potency, the living entities are able to sustain in this material world. Ushnami chosadhi sarvaha soma bhutva rasatmakah. I also become the moonshine, and because of the moonshine, you get some, nice vegetables. The juice, the rasa or the taste of the vegetables or anything, fruits, comes because of the moonshine. So ahamasya jagatah dhata. Then ahamasya jagatah pitamaha. What does this word pitamaha mean? Grandfather. And where is how Krishna is grandfather? So what is the meaning of the word pitamaha? How can we relate to that? And when Krishna says that ahamasya jagatah pitamaha. Supreme
maintainer.
तो पितामह से क्या लेना देना? He's the origin. You're right. How do you go there? So actually, if you see, the secondary creation is coming from Brahma. Brahma is considered to be the father who is doing the secondary creation. We say Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. Brahma is doing the creation. Vishnu is the one maintainer. But where is Brahma coming from? Brahma is coming from the navel of Vishnu. So that is why Krishna is considered ahamasya jagatah pitamaha. Of course, the love of pitamaha or grandfather is far more, I would say, far more intimate than even father and mother. Sometimes, the father and mother may stop the child, saying that you don't buy this, let's say chocolate, which may be, harmful for your teeth. But a pitamaha, a grandfather, is more affectionate, more intimate. Yeah, you can buy somehow. You can bypass and they have time for the children. Parents may be busy, but the grandfather is always available. So Krishna is telling, I am not just your father, I am not just your mother. Pitahamasya jagato mata dhata pitamaha vedyam pavitram. We will go to the next one. Before we go to the next one, I wanted to say just 10 minutes. Very interestingly, there is in this episode of the first two verses which I spoke was from Prahlad Maharaj. How many of you have gone for, or how many of you have seen a wild animal in life? You've seen, where have you seen? Which one? Bison, okay. Nothing else? Elephant can get wild. Okay, where? What do you see?
In zoo.
In the zoo, which one?
Tiger.
Tiger? Huh? Lion को कहाँ देखा? Zoo में ही, okay.
He's telling, how can we see really?
He told you zoo means so lion means I did somewhere in outside you. Okay. Have you seen something?
Yeah, we went some jungle trekking and like on a car from the
Trekking and in a car. Okay, this is a real life example.
Safari.
Okay. And then you saw
some tigers and bears.
Tigers in
Bear.
Dan. Okay, when you are going there in the safari or something in the thing, trekking, you saw a tiger. Good example. So what happens? Okay, have you noticed when the tiger becomes very ferocious? When does it become wild?
When you try to interrupt,
Interrupt what?
when it's going on the way and you just go towards that and do something to that.
When you disturb their child.
Saying that.
That's a good example. That's a good thing. Actually, if the tiger or the lion is with their children, and if you do anything to the child, the moment they sense that their children are in danger, immediately they become ferocious, become very wild. Especially when you go for a trekking or a safari or some skiing or something. Skiing, they see some boar and all, and they become very wild or they become very aggressive. The moment they see if they are with their children and they sense kind of a threat or danger to their children. The whole example of this, Narasimhadev, which is given, the ferocious form that the Lord came and appeared to kill Hiranyakashipu, or Acharyas, Prabhupada says that it is only to protect his child. Like a lion who comes to protect his cub, the Lord comes as a wild elephant, as a wild lion, half man, to kill that Hiranyakashipu. So the love of the father when he is coming as Narasimhadev is unparalleled. My child is threatened. Now it is my time to show him. He comes in that never seen this kind of a form. He comes and he protects Prahlad Maharaj. So the Lord is very, very affectionate. Let's move further. Ahameva Vedyam. Okay, where have you heard this word Vedyam before? Vedyam means what is to be known. Yes. Vedestu sarve ahameva Vedyam. Vedanta krit vedavit evachaham. Which verse is it? What is the first two line?
Sarvasya
chaham vidhi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarve ahameva Vedyam. Krishna says, of all the Vedas I am to be known. Actually, this mystery is not known to even people who are Vedantists, who are trying to understand Vedic knowledge. They take portions of Vedic knowledge, try to become expert in that, have tarkas, have arguments, but they sometimes miss out that the real purpose of reading Vedas, the real purpose of knowing Vedas is to know Krishna. Vedescha sarver ahameva Vedyam. Vedanta vid vedakritcha chaiva aham eva cha. Even in the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned, Dharma projita kaitavo atro paramo nirmat saranam satam Vedyam vastavam atra vastu sivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni krite kimba parerishwaraha sadyo hridayavaruddhyate atra kritibhi shushrushubhistarshana. Vedyam vastavam. Krishna is the one to be known. He is real substance. Vedyam vastavam atra vastu sivadam tapatrayon mulanam shivadam. He will give the real auspiciousness in our life. That is the real substance which is different from this illusion, from this illusory things. And that is to be known. Ahameva Vedyam. Krishna is telling of all the knowledge, whatever you are trying to acquire, know that ultimately I am to be known. If you don't really understand that why Krishna has to be known, there is one verse, I have picked it up from Bhagavad Gita. This is the 4th chapter verse. It says, Apichedasi papebhya sarvebhya papakrittamaha sarvam jnana plavaneva brijinam santavishyasi. Very powerful verse. Apichedasi papebhya. We are all very sinful people, right? None of us are free from sins. We have done so many sinful activities. Apichedasi papebhya sarvebhya papakrittamaha. Krittamaha is the highest. Even if you may be the highest of sinner, doing all kinds of sinful activities. Sarvam jnana plavaneva brijinam santavishyasi. When somebody comes in touch with Krishna or gets the knowledge of Krishna, even if he is the worst of sinners, he will still santarishyasi. He will cross over this material ocean. Very powerful verse. I don't have the translation. Very, very powerful. So knowing about Krishna, when somebody knows, I may not know why I should know about Krishna, but here is an assurance. If you know about Krishna, apichetasi papebhya, but I have got so many sinful activities, which is, I have done this in my past, I didn't know this. No problem. Sarvebhya papakrittama, even if you are the worst of the sinners, sarvam jnana plavaneva brijinam santarishyasi. If you just take to this boat of Krishna's knowledge, you will cross over this material ocean of birth and death. Ahameva pavitram. Where is the word pavitram used? Huh? Yes. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idam Uttama. Very good. At least one answer. Anywhere else?
Paramdhama
Arjuna's verse. But today in the morning we were chanting one verse when we had gone for real camp. What is that?
Om apavitro pavitro.
Om apavitro pavitro va sarvavasthagatopi va yasmaret pundarikaksham sa bahya abhyantara suchihi. It's a very powerful verse. Suppose your hand gets contaminated. You touch something which is dirty or something. You go and wash your hand with soap and the hand becomes clean, pure. Or your shirt has got some stains, some dirty things. You go and put it in the detergent or something and then wash it and the shirt becomes clean. How will you clean your inside? Om apavitro pavitrova. Doesn't matter whether you are in an uncontaminated state or in a contaminated state or in an uncontaminated state. Apavitro pavitrova. You may say I am neither contaminated nor uncontaminated. Sarvavastha gatopi va. Om apavitro pavitrova sarvavastha gatopi va. Yas maret pundarikaksham. If you are just able to remember Krishna, Krishna's another name is pundarikaksham. Pundarika is lotus, aksham is eyes, whose eyes are like lotus. Pundarikaksham. If you are able to remember the Lord, so bahya abhyantara suchi. Immediately from your externally and internally you will become suchi, you will become clean. Such a powerful thing. This is a mantra from one of the Puranas, from Vishnu Purana. And of course the verse that you chanted, Arjuna Uvacha, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. The word Pavitram is there. Param Brahma, supremely pure. Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. Purusham, Saswatam, Divyam, Adi Devam, Ajam Vipum. That is why when we come in touch with the Supreme Lord, who is completely, supremely pure, we also get pure. But you may say that the Lord is not present. How do we come in touch with Him? Prabhupada says, Kali Kale Krishna Namarupya Avatar. In Kali Kale, in this Kali Yuga, Krishna has descended in the form of holy name. So when we chant the holy name, we come in touch with the Supreme Lord. And when we come in touch with the Supreme Lord in the form of chanting, in the form of His holy name, it cleanses our heart. It's a very powerful process. It is the bona fide, authorized process. Even if you are the worst of the sinners, if you are chanting properly, with attention, sincerely, every day, then the heart is getting cleansed. Heart is getting free from all the contaminations. That is how the hippies, when they came in touch with Srila Prabhupada, they all got transformed. There's this beautiful verse which comes, Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. The Nama, the holy names of the Lord, are not different from that of a touchstone. A touchstone can transform even an iron to gold. So similarly, when a person who is contaminated, who is like iron-like consciousness, comes in touch with the holy name, immediately gets purified. Pavitram, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhava. Purusham, Saswatam, Divyam, Adi Devam, Ajam Vipam. So Ahameva Pavitram. And the third one he is telling, Ahameva Omkara. It's a very famous verse in Bhagavad Gita. Prasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi sasisuraya pranavaha sarva vedeshu sabdakhe paurusham prishu. So pranavaha is Omkara. Pranavaha sarva vedeshu. Of all the Vedic literatures, I am to be considered as Omkara, Pranavaha. Prasoham apsu kaunteya. I am the taste of water. Prabhasmi sasisuraya. Sasi Suraya, Sasi is moon and Suraya is the sun. I am the brightness, illumination of moon and sun. Sabdakhe Paurusham Rishu. So Krishna talks about his different way he manifests by which we can perceive him in our material lives. Not just somebody who is completely an atheist, who doesn't have any understanding of who Krishna is. How do you make himself convinced about this Tribhangi form of the Lord, which is the most attractive, which attracts even the minds of big yogis like Brahma and Shiva. They also meditate on this beautiful form of the Lord. How do you convince him about that? That Supreme Lord is Shyama Sundar in Tribhangi form. He is standing there. How do you convince him? So that is how Krishna is explaining. If you see in the 15th chapter, he is telling that whatever food you are eating, when you don't realize that the food you are eating, it is getting digested on its own. But actually, I am that fire of digestion in the belly, which is helping digest that food. Okay. So what else? When you are drinking water, which is quenching your thirst, realize that the taste of water is me. So like that, he is telling every single thing that we are having around us. Behind that, there is Krishna. So when you realize at least, all these things I have never thought of, but now that I am getting a knowledge about this, finally it crystallizes and comes to a situation where we understand the Syama Sundara Tribhangi form of the Lord, who's there, who's the most important. Aham eva omkara. And then the last one is telling Aham riksama yajurevacha. What is the expression? Like I said in Bhagavad Gita, nothing is written just like that. Was there any lack of space that the word atharva is missing, or what do you think? What is the meaning of this riksama yajurevacha? Why atharva is not there in this? Rig Veda, you all know that there are four divisions of Vedas. The Vedas are divided into four parts: Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva. Why Atharva is not here? In that Evacha it is included. This is a Sanskrit way of writing. It is like etc. Rig, Sama, Yajur, etc. And the etc. includes the fourth one. And one of the reasons the Acharyas mentioned why Atharva is not mentioned, because it talks about the material activities of people. Okay, does anybody remember what Krishna says of the Vedas, who he is? Which Veda?
Samaveda.
Samaveda. Of the Vedas he is Samaveda. So Aham Rik Sama Yajurevacha. So he also says that the Vedic knowledge is not different from me. Where else it is mentioned in Bhagavatam, where Krishna says it is not different from this Vedic knowledge. There is one word which is used, Brahma Samhita. Where? Brahma Samhita is not about Brahma. Brahma Samhita means equal to Brahman, that transcendental object. Another name of Bhagavatam is Brahma Samhita, because it is not different from Krishna. So Aham Rik Sama Yajurevacha is also telling, Krishna is saying that I am not different from all these Vedic literatures. So basically, to summarize our time, we spoke about the 8 things which Krishna is talking about in this verse. Ahamasya Jagataha Pita Mata Dhata and Pitamaha Ahameva Vedya Pavitram Omkara Riksama Yajurevacha. So basically our existence in this material world, one way to look at it is, I've got no connection with the Lord. That is what most of the people who are deeply absorbed in materialistic pursuits think. But the other way of looking at it is, everything in our life there is Krishna. Ahamasya Jagataha Pita. Pita is father. We saw that how those 2 verses of Bhagavatam, where Krishna says, where Prahlad Maharaj says that if we are Krishna Upekshita, if we are neglected by the Lord, nobody can protect us. We are completely helpless. But if we are protected by the Lord, even though Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu, Krishna says he is equal to everyone, immediately he comes. Somebody when he is engaging in devotional service, in the 12th chapter he says, Nachirenadi, what is that? Nachirenadi. Immediately Krishna comes. If somebody is engaging in devotional service, I think 12th chapter, one of the verses says. And Krishna also says that Aham Bijapradapitaha. He is the seed giving father. And where does he give the seed? To Mother Nature, who acts as our mother. And we spoke about how different kinds of relationships we have, and different people in our life exchange relationship in different ways. Like a father has a unique relationship and mother has a unique relationship. We also saw how mother's position is so important and so intimate, and how mother's, from his body, from her body the child is born. So how thickly he is involved. And similarly we have a relationship with Krishna. Then we saw about Dhata, how Krishna sustains and maintains everything. We saw how this word Pitamaha is used in terms of Brahma being the secondary creator, but the origin of Brahma is coming from Krishna. And then we saw how of all the Vedic knowledge Krishna is to be known. And I spoke about this one verse, how despite being the worst of the sinners engaged in sinful activities, if somebody takes to this knowledge of Krishna, or knows about him, Brijinam Santarishyasi, he will cross over this material ocean. Pavitram we saw, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhava, Purusham Saswatam Divyam, Adideva Majam Vibhum, Ahameva Omkara, Tasoham Apsuponte, Prabhasmi Sisi Suraya, Pranava Sarva Vedeshu, Saptakya Purnishu. I am Aham Rik Sama Yajurya Vacha. So these are some of the things we discussed. Anybody has any questions? Yeah.
Approaching one question actually. You have mentioned like whatever our desire, that material body will get, right? But it was mentioned earlier in previous verses like if whatever karma we do based on that we get the next body, or maybe at the time of death, whatever the state of mind, that body or the person will get. If like let's say we have a Krishna in mind during death, so definitely we go to Supreme Abode. But isn't it like a little bit contradictory statements? I'm sorry.
Where is the contradiction?
Because let's say I have done some simple activity, right? I should get some lower species of life, right? And but my desire is okay, no, I should go to Krishna's abode. But in spite of having sinful activity, how I will go to Krishna's abode? Because I have done something wrong in the life. Right?
So this is why this kind of a question is coming in our mind, because we think theoretically maybe it is a possibility that I can live a sinful life, and at the time of death I will remember Krishna and I can go back. Right? Because it looks like it's a solution. Like we do some permutation combination, some different combinations we can create. Okay, this looks like a logical thing which can happen, where I led a complete simple life, but at the time of my death, I will remember Krishna and I can go back. But it doesn't work actually in that way. The thoughts at the time of death is very difficult to control. Based on the life that we have lived throughout, the entire duration of our life, not just this life, so many lifetimes have gone. We are very deeply absorbed in this materialistic things. Materialistically, we are absorbed. Think of Krishna at that time, it will not come. It's not easy. It's a very difficult thing. That is why Kulashekar Alvar, he prays that, O Lord, right now when my mind and senses are in my control, when my tongue is moving, I am able to speak, let me take shelter of your lotus feet. Because who knows at the time of death, when this kapha, vata, pitta, there is an imbalance, how will I be able to remember your name? How will I be able to remember you? This is the prayer. This is the mood of a devotee. Just because we live in this material world where we try to see every possible combinations, we think in that way that I can lead a sinful life, but still I'll be able to remember the Lord and I'll go back home. It's not that easy. Going back home, back to Godhead is a very difficult thing. Very, very difficult thing. That's what Krishna says. That's what Prabhupada explains. It's not easy. We should never take it as very cheap thing. ठीक है, कुछ भी करके यम्यं वापि स्मरण भावम और अंतकाले च मामेव स्मरण मुक्त्वा कलेवरम यः प्रयाति समद्भावम याति नास्ति अत्र संशयः. We know that verse. But to remember the Lord at the time of death, we have to do this throughout our life. Throughout our life, we have to be very, very careful, cautious and alert. Actually, what happens is in our life, why we don't make serious advancement is we hear a lot of things, but we don't practice. There is a huge difference between hearing. People come and hear, they take something, the knowledge they hear, nothing goes in practice. No single change happens in my life what it used to be before hearing and after hearing. That's where the problem is. In the Vedic literatures, they speak the most important thing is hearing, and hearing has to be done with attention. Shravanam, that is called. Shravanam with attention. But after Shravanam comes Mananam. Mananam is to reflect. What I heard, was it some kind of an entertainment that I went and heard and something happened? They were telling some 8 things. And Pita, Mata, Data, Pitamaha, Vedyam, Omkara, Pritsamaya Jurevacha. MS1.
Pavitram.
Pavitram. Is it just that? I just some 8 things I heard and I went back. I have to see how I can implement some of the things. I have to reflect. So Shravanam is always followed by Mananam. And then there is Nidhi Dhyasana. Nidhi Dhyasana means you implement small little change in your life. Let me take up this process of chanting seriously. Let me do something. Some change I have to bring. When these two things do not happen, then we talk about big things. Aaj class mein maine kya suna? I will also tell that. And also, you don't know, Krishna is not just Pita, he is also Mata. He is Pitamaha. Not just Pita, Mata, Pitamaha, he is also Dasa. We tell. But nothing has gone inside. The reflection or we become a preacher without having understood without having internalized what is the concept that we heard. So then that is why, it is always, you don't get an interest in hearing, you don't get an interest, there is no change in life, life just goes on. And same sort of questions, same sort of things keep coming back. I'm not saying, we all have to be inquisitive, but to make really tangible progress in our spiritual life, one has to literally little pause and reflect on what I heard. Is it just some theoretical statements which we are making, somebody has made some theoretical comments, opinions. Krishna is somebody's father. Krishna is also mother. One has to internally reflect this. What does it mean that Krishna is my father? What does it mean that Krishna is my mother? What does it mean that Krishna is my pita? Krishna is my grandfather? What does it mean? And when we reflect on that mananam helps us to internalize these things. And that internalization naturally leads to some change in our life. Something will make a change. And then when we speak or ask, then the whole thing is very different. Very different. Does it help, Ankit?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Thank you.
Thanks for briefly explaining this. On that context, when I watched this movie Gandhi, when God says
Richard Attenborough, or which the one?
Mahatma Gandhi, the Gandhi.
The one which is directed by Richard Attenborough.
Yes.
The one which got Oscar award for this.
Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley, he's done.
When God say shoots Gandhi, he say Hey Ram, Hey Ram, Hey Ram. Does that mean at the time of death, he remembered Ram and he would have gone to Vaikunth?
That's a good question. Prabhupada says that it is very difficult to ascertain. Of course, he has chanted the name, means he will definitely, he will not take birth in the material world for sure. But to ascertain that, what consciousness a person had at the time of chanting, if he has really chanted Hey Ram, he will go back. But, let's say somebody keeps a gun and he says that before I pull the trigger, I will say Hey Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I'll pull the trigger and I'll die, commit suicide. Okay. Does it mean that I'll go back to Godhead? Because I have chanted now. So there what we are doing is we are taking the laws of material nature in our hand. We're trying to tamper that. A. Or somebody like, for example, if somebody drowns himself in Radha Kund. Okay, Radha Kund is considered to be the highest of ecstasy. Is he going to go back to Godhead? It depends on the internal consciousness, and we cannot cheat the God. It is not like like a switch which you turn it on or off, then the light will come or go. It is not like that. So I remember somehow. I'll go. It's not so black and white. Our consciousness is the whole key, and that consciousness can only be evolved. We can make it refined by practicing bhakti. Even if it is imperfect, but if I have made an attempt, whole life, guaranteed to go back. Even if I don't chant, even if I don't remember. Krishna says, I will take you back on that. You have tried, let's say, you get into coma. So, for example, somebody, before death, is not able to do anything. He is just motionless, he's lying. Does it mean that he lost all his chance of going back to God? No. Krishna remembers him and takes him back to God because he was engaged in his devotional service sincerely. There's a very beautiful verse which comes in Bhagavatam, Brahma's prayers. It says, Tatte anukampam susamikshamanu. Tatte anukampam susamikshamanu. Bhunjan evatma kritam vipakam. यद बाग वपुभिर हृददान नमस्ते जीवेत मुक्ति पदेशदाय तत्ते अनुकंपam susamishman. Actually, the attitude of the devotee is that you always praise to the Lord, you are very kind, very compassionate on me, that you are bestowing your mercy upon me. Tatte anukampam susamishman. Even though I am going through some material trouble, material difficulties, the devotee thinks it is because of my own doing, my misdoing. Bhunjan evatmam kritam vipakam. Vipakam, I have done something in the past because of which I am getting this bad results. Hridbag vapubhir vidadhani namaste. Yet, going through all these difficult situations, always being hopeful of receiving Lord's mercy, if someone by his hrid, by his heart, bak, by his words, vapu, by his body, is engaging in devotional service, jiveta mukti padesadaya. He becomes a deserving candidate to go back home back to God. So the point is, if we are able to remain Krishna conscious throughout our lives, from the point wherever we have started, we become a deserving candidate to go back home back to God. We'll stop here. Actually, these verses are very wonderful. If we reflect, if we just coolly listen and hear and understand what is our position with respect to the Supreme Lord, who is so merciful, so compassionate, then the fear, the anxieties, the distresses that we have will go. Like Prahlad Maharaj, but firm faith and conviction, my Lord is present in this pillar. That faith is needed. Lord is there everywhere. I don't have that faith. Forget about seeing the Lord in all other places. We don't even see or realize the Lord is present in the form of the deities. So when we have that faith, when we have that strong conviction, the Lord appears, manifests in front of us, takes care of us. We'll stop here and continue to see this most confidential novice in the coming days. Tantra Srimad Bhagavad Gita